Hello and welcome to Out of Britain with me, Radhika Iyer. 24-year-old Harshita Brella, a Delhi girl, came to London and the United Kingdom with a bag full of dreams after her marriage with her husband, also a Delhi boy, a Haryana boy rather. Unfortunately, this weekend, it will be her corpse that will be going back to India. Authorities in the United Kingdom will be transporting Harshita's body back to India, where her family is from. She was murdered. The accused, her husband. Harshita's body was found in a car, in the boot of a car, and she was murdered after allegations of domestic violence by her husband. On this episode of Out of Britain, we bring you the disturbing trend of migrant Indian women caught in the vicious circle of dowry harassment, abuse, and then being stranded on immigration front. Not all stories are bad stories. Not all stories are scary, evil stories, but there are some which have alerted several authorities to point to the fact that migrant Indian women, even men sometimes, are subject to dowry harassment, abuse, and above everything, the dangling session or the issue of immigration looms large on their head.
24-year-old girl has been killed in UK, allegedly by her husband as per the UK police. I'm joined here by her elder sister Sonia to know the entire story because she was recently married, moved to UK earlier this year, was supposed to come back, but just last week the family got to know that she has been tragically killed. Thanks for speaking to us, Sonia. Can you tell us that what has been the sequence of events, that how did you get to know that she has died there?
संडे को लास्ट हमने उससे रात को बात किया था. शी इज़ प्रिपेयरिंग डिनर एंड पालक पकौड़ा. सो शी इज़ वेरी एक्साइटेड दैट टाइम कि उसने बहुत टेस्टी फूड बना रखा था. एंड वी सेड कि तुम डिनर फिनिश कर लो. शी सेड नो, 9 o'clock तक पंकज विल कम एंड देन वी विल डू टुगेदर डिनर. से ओके. देन 9:27 PM तक या 11 o'clock तक हमारी बात हुई थी अकॉर्डिंग टू इंडियन टाइम. मंडे को उसका सडनली नेट ऑफ आया और हम उससे डेली बात करते थे, तो हमें लगा मे बी मोबाइल टूट गया होगा या कुछ ऐसा हुआ इंसिडेंट. हमने वेट किया मंडे तक का. फिर ट्यूसडे को दोनों मतलब फ़ोन स्विच ऑफ और फिर हमें लगा समथिंग इज़ रॉन्ग. देन फिर वेंसडे तक तो हमने वहाँ फाइल करवा दिया था केस. यूके में जो हमारे नॉन हैं उनको बोल के कि कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, आप चाहिए पुलिस तक. देन उन्होंने केस फाइल किया और फिर आफ्टर सम टाइम उसका डेड बॉडी मिला. तो तब तक तो मतलब यकीन नहीं हुआ इस चीज़ पे कि हाँ ठीक है उसकी लाइफ में प्रॉब्लम्स चल रही थी, बट ऐसे एंड होगा इस चीज़ का ये नहीं आइडिया था.
And there are reports of marital dispute also which went to the police. Can you tell us more about that? Like, why do you think that her husband is responsible for the killing, though the police also says so?
या अगर पुलिस ने बोला तो ऑब्वियस है एविडेंस होंगे, ऐसे नहीं बोल सकते वो लोग. और हाँ हमें ऐसा क्यों लगता है क्योंकि उसने फाइल किया था डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के चार्जेस दैट टाइम. और बैंक फ्रॉड का केस भी पंकज पे वहाँ पर है यूके में, आप चेक कीजिए. और बैंक फ्रॉड का केस इसलिए है उसका सारा पिन, OTP, एवरीथिंग जितना भी होता है वो होल्ड करता था. सारी चीज़ें उसका पूरा फाइनेंशियली होल्ड था. और जो इंडियंस होते हैं यूके में जहाँ वो काम करती थी तो वो उनसे भी उसको बात नहीं करने देता था.
I used to impose restrictions.
Yes. कि आप डोंट टॉक टू एनी इंडियन, मतलब एनीवन. अकेले वो लंच करना इस टाइप से, मतलब उसको ना पूरा मैनिपुलेट करके रखा था. मतलब वो अपनी नज़र से दुनिया दिखा रहा था उसको कि ऐसा है यहाँ वैसा है यहाँ. तो और आफ्टर सम टाइम जब वो जैसे यहाँ वहाँ यूके सेटल हुई तो उसके हस्बैंड ने मुझसे बात करना बंद करवा दिया उसका कि बिकॉज ही नोज़ कि मैं उसको गाइड करूँगी लाइफ के लिए और मुझे ज़्यादा समझ है चीज़ों को लेके. तो उसने बट स्वीटी ने मतलब हर्षिता ने बंद नहीं किया मुझसे बात करना कि वो मेरी बहन है मैं बात करूँगी. बट ही ट्राइड. तो
So did you guys inquire that was Pankaj facing any criminal charges here as well in back in India? No.
नहीं हमने चेक तो नहीं किया ऐसा कुछ. हमें नहीं लगा ऐसा कुछ है बिकॉज ठीक फैमिली थी उस टाइम, हमें लगा अच्छी फैमिली में जा रही है, बट जाने के बाद थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम आने लगा। स्टार्टिंग से ही यहाँ थी तब भी उसको परेशान कर रहे थे वो लोग, बट हमें लगा ठीक है हस्बैंड के साथ रहेगी तो सब ठीक हो जाएगा।
Sad story. Hope justice is served. Hope Pankaj is also arrested or gets into police's custody. So this is the aggrieved family of Harshita who feel that Pankaj may have escaped from London, from UK, and may have returned to India. They have contacted Delhi police. They are already in touch with UK authorities, but they are still waiting for justice to be served. In Delhi, Mohammed Ghazali for NDTV.
In central London, I have with me two women who have been victims of domestic abuse and violence. They've requested for me not to share their names, and fully respectful and mindful of that. And I'm here to understand your stories from yourself. And thank you so much for talking to NDTV and sharing your stories with this intention that it may help some other women who may be able to relate to what you've gone through. Are you happy to start and share what happened with you?
I was doing pretty well back in India. I got married. It was an arranged marriage, and I gave up my job. It was a very good, well-paying job. And I came here totally dependent on my husband. I had no relatives, no friends. But my husband was living here from quite some time, and he knew how vulnerable I was, and that I had no support. Was not even enrolled in NHS. By the time things started to happen with me, and it happened more than once. Due to our culture, we try to stay quiet, not to report, forget, and make things work. But men, I don't know. I mean, it probably varies from person to person, but often this thing is taken advantage of and taken as a weakness and exploited for not believing the sentiment behind it, but under a belief that we came here because we thought we were allured by reasons other than just love, family, reasons which are best known to them. I cannot actually point out the reasons because I was doing fairly well myself. The only reason I got married was to have a lovely home, kids, start my own family, but ended tragically. So, yeah, it's it.
When did you decide to report it?
I never reported.
You never reported it?
No.
When did you first think that you won't be able to take this any further? And what may I ask, what sort of an abuse was it?
It was a physical abuse and emotionally as well. I was gaslighted for months. I was threatened with divorce, and even the in-laws were very hateful, and they acted as if they're doing me a favor by getting their son married to me. There was a lot of dowry involved. But still, we as a culture, we keep quiet. We kept quiet.
Do you have any children?
No, I don't have children.
And what's your immigration status here?
It's hanging by a thread. I came here as a sponsored dependent visa. Now, I've taken help of an organization, Indian Ladies in UK, and they are helping me sort it out. Honestly, if it hadn't been for them, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. It's important for me to highlight here that gaslighting, as mentioned by this lady here, is recognized as domestic violence in this country as opposed to it is in India. What about your story?
So I came here to work in 2013, and it was just like obviously just to find some, just to work basically. It wasn't with any other intention. And then I met this English guy in 2014. And at that time, I didn't have like a really great job in this country, though I had a very good job in India. But I was just like working from agency to agency. at that point and living in shared houses. So it's quite deprived of that feeling of love and just feeling very isolated and alone. And I wasn't even getting to cook one meal because I was living with a family who cooked. So it was just like I was just yearning for a place of my own, and just to nothing great, just to have a small place of my own and just to have a life. While working, I met this guy, and it wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst either. It was just like I felt that I had someone who would love me. I just felt it in that because before that I had met a few people and it didn't work out. So I thought that this person we just continued seeing each other. So I felt that, yeah, this would work out. And we decided to live together after a year of being dating each other. And because I was living not in a shared house, but with a family, an Indian family, it was very hard for me to meet him or to go out at night. So that was another reason. And by then, in the same year, I found a permanent job. So both the things worked out. And then we decided to move in together. And then in 2017, my boy was born after a miscarriage. So when he was born, he started threatening me every day. I'll leave you, and then you will see how it is. And lots of verbal abuse, lots and lots, very bad names. I don't know if I should say that, but it was like with
Verbal abuse.
Lot of verbal abuse, not physical much, but verbal was a lot.
So very toxic, disrespectful.
Very, very, very toxic, very toxic. At that point, we went to India, and I told my mother as well, but my family was totally indifferent towards my situation.
Why?
Because they said that you have taken your decisions, and because I wasn't married according to the Indian, in my family, maybe this was very unusual. This was very, very unusual. So
for a girl to travel, be on her own, choose her partner, choose the terms of the partnership, is way too unfamiliar for Indian culture. So probably your family said you decided, so you face the consequences. Okay.
Basically what happened was that because my two kids were small and I had gone through very two difficult pregnancy. I lost a twin. I had a twin. My second was a twin, and I lost the twin with her. So my body hadn't recovered. Doctor had said that within a year you have got 2 pregnancies and 2 emergency C-sections. My body was going through a lot, and I was unable to manage all the workload and my 2 kids, waking up through different times of the night with the 2 kids. And he wasn't helping me at all. He was going away to drink with his friends. And he wasn't helping me in the house at all. And I was just not being able to cope up. And that kind of put the pressure on. Yeah. And that's how the abuse started. He strangled me twice with the telephone, with the intercom wire. He took away my phone to throw. He kicked me. He's done various, the physical started from there. My neighbors called the police. My neighbor stopped me outside. She said, "We can hear everything from outside. Why are you not reporting to the police?" And I said, "I'm too scared. I don't want him to go." My only thing was I won't be able to manage with 2 small kids. How will I manage with 2 small kids? And having a full-time job, because here the system, I want to talk of the system once, that the system is very outdated.
When did you actually report?
I never reported. Okay. I never reported. Throughout the stay, I never reported him. My neighbors reported him when the police twice came to the house. And I said, nothing has happened. And they had to go. And then he took me, while after my mom went, and after my girl was turning 1, and he said, I'm going to take this house away from you, and you will go back to India. And I said, I'm not going back to India. This is my place. I have worked hard. So he took legal aid, because he went and took legal. He reported domestic that I had kept him a prisoner in the house. I was not letting him go. So he reported domestic abuse on me, and he went. So it was all the things which I was facing, and I didn't report. The whole intention was to take away that small little flat which I had. It boiled down to that one little thing. I couldn't believe that where was love, where was anything about the children. It was all about that little place. But my problem, why I was so scared, was that if I reported him and he had to go, then how would I manage 2 small kids by myself and to manage a full-time job? That became my stopping thing to report him ever.
Leading a group of nearly 40,000 Indian origin women here in the UK for a group called Indian Ladies in the UK, founder Poonam Joshi is with me. She's also a known women's rights activist. And also with me is Oma, who helps manage Indian Ladies in the UK. Poonam, firstly, how many inquiries do you receive on a daily basis, monthly basis?
As of now, we are getting at least 5 to 6 calls a day. And it has just increased over time. We used to get hardly like maybe 2 calls a month or 2 queries a month. But now the cases have gone up to 5 to 6 a day because all these women who contact us might not necessarily be members of our organization, but the word has spread so far and wide that anywhere a word domestic violence is mentioned, our number is shared and people ask women not to go to the police, not to the social services, but to our organization.
And that's exactly why I am here chatting with you. Poonam, you're also a journalist. You've been one. And some of the first questions, unfortunately, we ask when we hear of something horrible happening, maybe an incident, is how many people, what? So, those instant questions that we begin to ask, almost sounding insensitive. But in these cases, what are your first quick 2-3 questions to women?
What's your visa status? Do you have any children? How long have you been in the UK? But what's your visa status is actually one of my first questions to every woman.
Tell me, many women watching this may be suffering abuse, but may not know it. What are the key symptoms of abuse as recognized by law in the United Kingdom?
Well, if you talk about by law in the UK, then it is definitely coercive control, psychological abuse, where there might not be any physical abuse involved, but coercively controlling, like telling you what to wear, who to speak to, how many times you can speak to your parents, and what you can buy with your own money, and then also controlling your finances and just basically controlling every aspect of your life, whether you can go out with your colleagues for a drink or not, or whether you can socialize or not, who you should socialize with, what you should and shouldn't share with somebody. These are all, coercive control tactics, which women from our part of the world feel is normal in a marriage. You're married, so you have to tell everything to your husband. And basically, they don't see it as control. They see it as, oh, he loves me. He's just being possessive.
And it's care.
Yeah. So that's how women are groomed in our culture, to just share every little detail with your partner.
Yeah. A lot of families may say, at least he's not getting drunk and beating you up.
Yeah.
So... have you heard that?
Yes, a lot.
Yeah.
I still, when Poonam was even talking about, I was still thinking, in our culture, it's still like, oh, I have to take permission from my husband or permission from my partner. Just inform what you're doing. Don't take a permission. Information is, okay, I'm going out. You're going out.
Healthy communication.
Yeah, healthy communication. You don't have to take a permission. Can I go out? No, we are not like school kids.
Yeah.
Oh, can I go? Can I use this? Can I use that? No, that's unfair.
Sure.
You need to have
and also allow space for the partner to do the same. Help is available in different forms. You reach out to your GP, you speak to a friend, you speak to a neighbor, you report it to the police, you speak to women's rights organizations, not-for-profit organizations which are existent. Google.
Can I just add one more thing, Radhika? I would also like help to be available for women on any kind of visas. At the moment, there is help available for women who are married to British citizens. But the ones whose husbands are on work permits, or if they are on work permits and they become victims of domestic abuse, there is no help for them. They have to leave the country, or they have to find some way to change their visa. All women should have same kind of help, because ultimately domestic violence is the same. Their suffering is the same. In fact, a migrant woman on a visa, her suffering is more than the one who has the security of being in this country and accessing the help that the authorities are providing to them.
Yeah, sure. Good point. And violence knows no immigration status. And if the couple is a tax-paying couple, then it should perhaps be treated as one which is a local resident here. Thanks for your points, Oma and Poonam Joshi, and thank you for talking to NDTV. If you have questions to ask, if you have stories to share, or if you have comments or feedback, please drop them. With me is Mr. Asad Khan, senior immigration lawyer. Thank you for talking to us, Asad. The reason for our chat is how in the South Asian community, the number of cases of abuse are very high.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure they're often very highly reported. Tell us about the trends that you're seeing and how bad is it?
Yeah, as an immigration lawyer, we get quite a lot of referrals for victims of domestic abuse from the South Asian community, even third world countries like Africa or the Middle East as well. So there's quite a lot of cases coming through. And what I personally found in my experience is that victims have no knowledge about the things that are happening to them amount towards an abuse. The most common thing perhaps is that victims seem to believe that unless their partner has physically abused them, unless that incident hasn't taken place, nothing else amounts to an abuse.
Yes.
So, of course, as an immigration lawyer, when we have to prepare a mandatory statement for the Home Office, that's when we get to find out about these things. And there's a lot of lack of education towards women.
As a result, I presume also due to the taboo, it's reported much less?
Yeah, I would say so. I often ask victims of abuse because, it's usually 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years by the time they've had, they came to the UK, they have children. I ask them, why have you not reported this before? This happened quite some time ago. And they all have the same answer. It's quite similar that, they thought just because the partner is doing, paying the bills, for example, and they're grateful that they came to the UK. They're really upset about what's going to happen back home to their parents, and a lot of families perhaps back home as well.
Stigma.
Absolutely. And they're really scared to go back. And it's as if like they don't want to speak out, even if they are given the opportunity or right to perhaps, for the justice to be served to them.
The good news is that there is help available. There is someone to talk to. More than someone, in fact. If you are a victim of domestic violence, abuse of any form, whether you're a man or a woman, there is help available. Get yourself to perhaps talking to a GP, a friend, a policeman, or perhaps someone in the community who will be able to offer you certain options following which you could take what suits you best as a decision. We've spoken to legal experts, to community helpers, to supporters, to activists, and now to immigration advisors. There is also the High Commission of India, whose embassy doors can be knocked at. If you have questions to ask, feedback to share, or stories to share with me, please pop in your details via the comments section or reach out to me via my email, which will be in the section of comments. Thanks very much for talking or for watching NDTV, and take care of yourself.